Episode 11, The Wand Explodes. Oh, it seems that this is not it. Looking at the shattered vase, Ollivander shook his head. He snatched the wand from Harry's hand and handed Harry a new wand. Try this one, the maple one. Harry was very picky. He tried more than 10 wands, but none of them satisfied Ollivander. Remy, who was bored, discovered another secret, a secret about Ollivander. Mr. Ollivander, I have a question I would like to ask you. Remy said. You say, Mr. Barrett, said Ollivander. What are those statistics you just measured about Harry for? Remy asked. Oh, that's to calculate the most suitable wand length for Mr. Potter to wield, so as to narrow the range. Ollivander explained. Yeah? Remy shook his head and walked to the table, which was already piled with wand boxes and wands. Harry just tested a total of 16 wands. The shortest wand was only 7 inches long, while the longest was 12.5 inches. Isn't the range a bit too large? Or was it that Harry was constantly growing taller and shrinking, growing taller, and shrinking again during the experiment just now? Remy asked jokingly. Ollivander opened his mouth, but no words came out. At this time, Remy continued, Mr. Ollivander, I have no objection to you, but Harry and I have to take the Muggle subway to the train station. We don't have that much time to waste. Please show your true ability and choose the most suitable wand for Harry as soon as possible. As he spoke, Remy picked up a magic wand and waved it around. The next moment, a blinding light and a bang instantly made Remy's eyes go white. Ah! My 24K pure titanium alloy dog eyes. Harry, who was also trapped in the white world, was panicking at first, but after hearing Remy's cry, he couldn't help laughing out loud for some reason. After about 20 seconds, the three regained their vision one after another, and then they were all stunned. There was only half of the wand left in Remy's hand, and the broken end was charred black, obviously not broken by bending or falling. Remy blinked, looking a little embarrassed. Well, don't worry, I will pay for it, just consider it as my purchase. Ollivander, who was holding onto the table, frowned and shook his head. It shouldn't be like this, how could it explode? This kind of situation shouldn't happen. As he spoke, Ollivander reached out and snatched the wand from Remy's hand, looking at it again and again. Then he lay on the ground looking for the remaining half and the debris in the middle that was blown away by the explosion, muttering to himself all the time. Seeing Ollivander, who seemed to be ill, Remy and Harry did not dare to disturb him. They just stood there obediently without moving. After a long while, Ollivander finally stood up. He looked around the small shop like an eagle with sharp eyes, then walked to the wall and pulled out a box. Mr. Barrett, please try this wand. Ollivander said seriously. Remy nodded, took the wand and waved it gently. The next moment, a strong wind blew violently. At the same time, the wand in Remy's hand exploded again with a bang, and this time only the handle was left. As the wand exploded, the strong wind stopped. Harry looked at Remy with horror, while Remy frowned at the remains of the wand in his hand. Ollivander also frowned as he looked at the remains of the wand. For a moment the store became eerily quiet. Boom! A wand box fell from the top, setting off a chain reaction like dominoes. A whole wall of wand boxes fell to the ground, scaring Harry so much that he quickly moved away. This incident awakened the instigator and the owner of the wand shop. I think I know why Master didn't teach me magic. I think I know what's going on. The two said almost at the same time. At the same time, in France, at Nicholas Flamel's home, Madame Flamel poured 2 cups of tea and left home, leaving space for Nicholas Flamel and Albus Dumbledore, who had just arrived. Nickel, did you ask me to come here because you are worried about the Philosopher's Stone? Don't worry, I have made all the preparations and there will be no problem with the Philosopher's Stone. Dumbledore said. It's just a rock. I'm not worried about that. Nicholas Flamel shook his head, then took the box from the table, placed it between the two of them and opened it. Looking at the gray translucent crystals as big as sugar cubes in the box, Dumbledore's eyes suddenly fixed. Such powerful magic, are these all Philosopher's Stones? Dumbledore asked. In a sense, they are indeed the Philosopher's Stone, but they are not the Sorcerer's Stone. As he spoke, Nicholas Flamel lightly tapped his fingers, and a crystal floated out of the box and floated in front of Dumbledore. This thing is called magic crystal. Even a magic crystal the size of a sugar cube has the same magical power as that of an adult wizard. Nicholas Flamel introduced. Dumbledore nodded, having felt it. So, what does it do? It's about the same as a sugar cube. Nicholas Flamel controlled the magic crystal to fall into the teacup in front of Dumbledore, and the magic crystal melted when it came into contact with water. Magic crystals can be dissolved in water. Drinking melted magic crystal water can replenish a large amount of magic power, and in a sense, it can also add flavor to the drink. Dumbledore nodded. After the magic crystal melted, he found that the ordinary cup of tea in front of him suddenly became extremely tempting, but when he smelled it carefully, he found that it actually did not emit any aroma. The appetizing aroma is actually an illusion caused by the body's desire for magic power. What a great invention! If I had enough magic crystals, maybe I could still defeat Voldemort in a duel now. Dumbledore said half seriously and half jokingly. Nicholas Flamel did not respond, but took out another magic crystal and put it into his teacup, then raised the cup and toasted Dumbledore. After taking a sip, Dumbledore's eyes lit up and he nodded. It tastes unexpectedly good. It feels like a riverbed that is gradually drying up and suddenly receives a rainfall. I feel very satisfied. As he spoke, Dumbledore took another sip, nodding as he savored the drink. How many cups of tea like this can you drink in a row? Asked Nicholas Flamel. Dumbledore thought for a moment. Well, if it was an extreme case, I think I could probably drink 10 glasses in a row. If I say that someone can drink it as ordinary water under any circumstances, including when their body is full of magic power, would you believe it? Asked Nicholas Flamel. Dumbledore was stunned at first, then fell into deep thought. Episode 12 Magic Treasure? Kidney Treasure. Drink this tea like water? Under any circumstances? Dumbledore, who had already felt the effect of this tea on replenishing the magic power in his body, couldn't help but frown when he heard this. This is a bit challenging to his cognition. Even if a person has a lot of magic power, he will be able to hold on if he replenishes the magic power when his body is full, right? Does the person you are talking about have any special talents? Dumbledore asked. Nicholas Flamel nodded. You know Obscurus well, don't you? Dumbledore was stunned for a moment, a hint of sadness flashing in his eyes. Yes, of course I understand. Have you discovered any new Obscurials? Dumbledore asked. Nicholas Flamel shook his head. I ask you, how did the Obscurus come about? Wizard children are forced to suppress the magic in their bodies due to physical or psychological abuse. They will experience extreme emotional pain and create a dark parasitic magical force called Obscurus. What exactly do you want to say? Dumbledore asked puzzledly. He didn't understand why Nicholas Flamel asked him this question. There was no reason why Nicholas Flamel didn't know the reason for the formation of the Obscurus. This made his emotions a little bit out of control. Yes, that's how Obscurus was created. But have you ever thought about what would happen to a child's body if he never suppressed the magic in his body, squandered it all every day, and lived a very, well, heartlessly happy life every day? Asked Nicholas Flamel. Dumbledore frowned immediately. He had a hard time understanding Nicholas Flamel's hypothesis, because... Nichol, how could the situation you described happen? Even for an adult wizard who has mastered spells, it is almost impossible to squander all the magic power in his body every day, let alone a child who has not mastered spells. Dumbledore asked. The wizarding world they belong to does not advocate strength above all else, so who would practice spells all day long until exhaustion? Boom boom boom. Nicholas Flamel tapped the box containing the magic crystal on the table with his old fingers. My disciple, Remy Barrett, is a natural master of alchemy. These magic crystals were invented by him. Before he met me, he used his innate alchemy to consume his own magic power to condense these magic crystals. Nicholas Flamel said. Dumbledore was stunned for a moment, then he understood something. Okay, I have a rough idea. So, my old friend, tell me about him. Dumbledore looked at Nicholas Flamel and said seriously. I'd better tell you about the new magical creature in his body first. Nicholas Flamel smiled and said. When I met him, he already had that thing in his body, and he named it Shinbao. Kidney, treasure? Looking at Dumbledore with a forehead full of question marks, Nicholas Flamel showed a helpless smile. Yes, you heard it right, although I couldn't understand why a little kid like him would give it such a name. But later on, at my suggestion, he changed the name of the creature, and now it's called Mawbo. Dumbledore nodded and motioned for Nicholas Flamel to continue. The existence of the magic treasure has brought Remy terrifying magic power and magic power recovery speed. The magic power he possesses now. Nicholas Flamel looked at Dumbledore. Well, it is about 5 times that of yours, and it continues to increase every day. 5 times as much as me? Hiss. Dumbledore quickly drank some tea to calm himself. Initially, the magic treasure only provided Remy with a huge amount of magic power and magic power recovery speed, just like a dead object. Nicholas Flamel continued. But as Remy and it grow together, the magic treasure now has instincts similar to those of living creatures. Whenever Remy is in danger, it will actively release a large amount of magic power to protect Remy. Therefore, I have always been worried that it will develop a true consciousness one day and escape from Remy's control. Dumbledore nodded seriously. If a magical creature with such enormous magical power were to get out of control, the magic world would be in trouble, and it wouldn't just be the magic world that would suffer. How do you test it? Does the magic react to all magic, or just dark magic? Dumbledore asked. All. Nicholas Flamel said. Not just magic, any attack that can cause irreparable damage to Remy will trigger the magic treasure, including Remy's usual alchemy failure and explosion. Even if Remy falls from a high place, as long as it exceeds a certain height, it can trigger the magic treasure's protection. Will the magic treasure also protect you if it falls from a high place? Dumbledore's eyes widened immediately. Doesn't that mean he is invincible? You can understand it that way. At this point, Nicholas Flamel suddenly laughed. If you ever come into a fight with Voldemort and Remy happens to be nearby, you can use him as a shield. He can even block the killing curse. How could I possibly treat a child as, wait, a killing curse? You used a killing curse on him? Dumbledore asked in disbelief, taking a breath. He is your apprentice. And he is just a child. How could you have the heart to do that to him? Because I'm really curious. Nicholas Flamel nodded and said with a smile, besides, I haven't studied the killing curse specifically. The power of the killing curse I used is definitely not enough to kill him. Okay, but how does it block the killing curse? Dumbledore asked curiously. The way the magic treasure protects Remy is to release a large amount of magic power to form a magic shield on the surface of Remy's body. The magic shield is composed entirely of magic power and can be regarded as a physical entity, so it can block any magic. Nicholas Flamel explained. I see. This means that the target was not hit at all because Remy was protected. Dumbledore nodded, a hint of regret in his eyes. He couldn't learn this method of defending against the killing curse. It's so luxurious. I understand. I will train him well. Don't worry, my friend, said Dumbledore. At this moment, a picture suddenly occurred to Dumbledore. In the picture, Remy strolled through the colorful spells like a stroll in the garden. In the stunned, shocked and even collapsed gazes of Voldemort and a group of Death Eaters, he walked up to Voldemort leisurely and cast a magic to defeat him. However, Nicholas Flamel's words soon brought Dumbledore back to reality and shattered all his fantasies. I really want you to take special care of him this time, but I hope you don't teach him magic. Don't teach him any magic. Dumbledore. Episode 13. Do you like change? Don't teach him any magic? Are you sure he is your apprentice and not the child of your enemy? Why? Are you worried that he will turn bad in the future? Dumbledore asked. Nicholas Flamel immediately shook his head. No, Remy is a very good child. Although he likes to play, he is not extreme and loves peace. Then why don't you want me to teach him magic? Because his magic power is so huge that it is far beyond his control. Nicholas Flamel sighed heavily, then took out a card and handed it to Dumbledore. This is a magic card I made with his inspiration. You only need to inject magic power to activate the magic inside. It is exactly the same as the magic power you need to consume to cast magic yourself, and it also saves the trouble of chanting spells. Dumbledore took it, looked at it, and then injected magic into it. The magic card suddenly lit up with a ball of white light. It turned out to be a fluorescent magic card. It's a great invention, but does it have anything to do with what you just said about his powerful magic? Dumbledore asked doubtfully. This is a teaching prop I made for him, but it exploded when he used it. Nicholas Flamel said as he reached out and tapped the magic card. In order not to undermine his confidence, I improved the magic card without his knowledge. Try it again now. Dumbledore nodded, injected magic into the magic card again, and then frowned. Why no response? Dumbledore asked. The improved magic card needs to be injected with 10 times the magic power before it can be activated when used by a specific person. But even so, Remy still needs to be very careful when using it, as the slightest carelessness may cause an explosion. Nicholas Flamel said helplessly. Dumbledore nodded and continued to inject magic into the magic card. After activating the magic card again, Dumbledore silently put down the magic card, then picked up the tea and drank it. The consumption is a bit high, he needs to replenish some mana. I made improvements secretly because I didn't want to destroy his self-confidence, so Remy always thought that his control over magic had improved, but in fact, the speed of his control over magic was far behind the speed of his own magic growth. He was like running on a conveyor belt moving in the opposite direction, always marking time, and even regressing if he relaxed a little. Nicholas Flamel said with a sigh. Everything has its limits. Who could have thought that such outstanding talent, with such strong capital, would end up like this? I see. I will pay more attention to him after he starts school. I guess you came to me and told me all this because you don't want me to directly forbid him from learning magic, right? Dumbledore asked. Yes. Nicholas Flamel nodded. I don't want him to be isolated because of this kind of thing, so I'll have to trouble you to take care of him in the future. Learn. Dumbledore nodded, then glanced at the clock on the wall. Is there anything else I need to know? It's getting late and I have to go back to prepare for the welcome dinner for freshmen. Dumbledore said. Nothing else. Oh, by the way, he has an unusual hobby and dream. I'm afraid you may need to spend more time to guide him. Oh? What's your hobby? Remy's parents' family is in the arms business, so Remy has loved guns since he was a child. He once told me that his dream is to make magic guns that even ordinary people can use to fire magic by pulling the trigger, and sell them in large quantities. Dumbledore. You call this a little hobby? If this kind of magic firearm is produced and sold in large quantities, not only the magic world, but the entire world will be in chaos. At this moment, Dumbledore suddenly felt that preventing Voldemort from resurrecting was not important at all compared to preventing the advent of magical firearms. What do you want me to do? Just guide him instead of stopping him? Dumbledore asked in a deep voice. Nicholas Flamel blinked, then took a sip from his teacup and shook his head. He doesn't need a wand or a spell to perform his innate alchemy, and he doesn't even need magical materials. And because of the existence of the magic treasure, you can't trap him with magic, so you can't stop him. Dumbledore. Why is there such a supernatural power in the world? If I insist on using up my magic power every day, will it be too late? You've really given me a difficult problem. Dumbledore sighed. It is indeed a difficult problem, but if he can be given the right guidance, with his abilities he will definitely bring about major changes to the wizarding world, said Nicholas Flamel. Change? A trace of reminiscence and pain flashed in Dumbledore's eyes. I don't like change, said Dumbledore. Nicholas Flamel looked at Dumbledore and smiled, but said nothing. He certainly knew why Dumbledore didn't like change, but he also knew that Dumbledore actually always liked change. On the other side, in Diagon Alley, Ollivander took the wand from Remy and placed it gently on the table. Mr. Barrett, the magic power you possess is beyond my imagination. If you don't mind. Remy's heart tightened when he heard Ollivander's words. Mr. Ollivander, I can actually control. Can you give me some of your hair? I can pay for it, and I promise that it will only be used for research and will never be leaked. I can make an unbreakable oath with you. Huh? Want my hair for research? You scared me. I thought you were going to say you couldn't sell me the wand. Looking at Ollivander's burning gaze, Remy breathed a sigh of relief and nodded. Of course the hair is no problem, but you can see my situation. I need a lot of wands to practice control. No problem. Ollivander nodded immediately without thinking. Mr. Barrett, if you need as many wands as you want in the future, just tell me. I can, well, maybe we can trade. You give me a hair and I'll give you a wand. How about that? A hair for a wand? If I remember correctly, a magic wand weighs 7 galleons, and a person's hair weighs about 100,000. If I choose to go bald, I will get 700,000 galleons? Remy did a quick calculation in his mind and was immediately shocked by the amount. This is too little. How could his handsomeness only be worth 700,000 galleons? No, 1 hair for 10 wands. I have much more magic power than those magical creatures, said Remy. That being said, you have much more hair than a phoenix's tail feathers, so the magic power of each hair may not exceed that of a phoenix's tail feathers. I can only offer a 1-to-2 ratio at best. Remy and Ollivander had a heated argument over the exchange ratio, leaving Harry confused as he listened. Episode 14, Owl in Long Johns. Remy knew he had a lot of magic power, but he didn't know exactly how much, or how it compared to other people. Before buying the wand, Remy always thought that his current magic power might be second only to Dumbledore and Voldemort, but in the future he could surpass them and become the first. Now that he has exploded 2 wands in a row, and even the knowledgeable Ollivander has said that the magic power he possesses is beyond imagination, Remy has a new understanding of his own magical level. This made him very happy, and he simply accepted Ollivander's offer of 1 hair in exchange for 2 wands. Only. Hey, what are you doing? Are you going to pull my hair out? Seeing Ollivander reaching out his hand, Remy quickly stepped back. Are you kidding? Just because he agreed to sell his hair doesn't mean he agrees to have others pull out his hair. There is an essential difference between plucking and cutting. Cutting hair will not make you bald, but plucking too much hair may really make you bald. And it won't get stronger. To use hair to make a wand, you naturally need complete hair. Ollivander said as a matter of course. You've used human hair to make wands before? Not really human, I once used the hair of a half-vila to customize her wand. Oh, then you can also customize the wand for me, and I will pay for the rest. Ollivander's eyes showed deep regret, but he still agreed to Remy's request. After discussion, Remy evenly plucked 5 strands of hair from his head and handed them to Ollivander, then stepped aside and waited for Harry to finish selecting his wand so that they could make their big purchase. After receiving Remy's hair, Ollivander carefully put it away, then took out a wand from the shelf and handed it to Harry solemnly. "Come on, boy, try this one," said Ollivander. Harry nodded and took the wand, and the next moment, before he could wave it, BGM, fans, lights and other special effects suddenly appeared on him. Needless to say, this must be Harry's dream wand. Sure enough, everything is destined. Ollivander looked at Harry with a complicated expression. "I once sold a magic wand that used the tail feathers of the same phoenix as this wand. It can be said that it is a brother of this wand. It was this phoenix that left this lightning mark on your forehead." "Really? What a coincidence." Harry nodded. "What kind of wood is this wand made of?" "Holly, with phoenix tail feathers, 11 inches long, an extraordinary combination," Ollivander explained. Harry nodded, not knowing whether he understood or not, and paid the money. Seeing that Harry had chosen his wand, Remy immediately waved his hand and asked Ollivander to recommend 10 phoenix tail feather wands, 10 dragon heartstring wands, and 10 unicorn tail hair wands. And he made an agreement with Ollivander that if he ran out of them, he would buy more from him using an owl. Just as I had finished selecting all the wands, selecting only based on appearance, and was about to pay, a knocking sound came from the window. Remy and Harry turned around and saw that it was Hagrid who came. He was holding a cage in his hand, and in the cage was a snow-white owl. To be precise, it is a snowy owl, Shao. "Harry, happy birthday, this is the birthday present I prepared for you," Hagrid said after opening the door and squeezing into the wand shop with difficulty. "Oh, really? That's amazing. Can I touch it?" "Of course. It's yours now." Remy blinked as he watched Harry ecstatically take the cage and poke the snowy owl inside. "Is today Harry's birthday?" Remy asked curiously. "No, Harry's birthday was yesterday. However, when I picked him up yesterday, I forgot to bring him a gift, so I only prepared a birthday cake for him," Hagrid said embarrassedly. "Oh, that's good. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to think of what birthday present to give him in such a short time because I have difficulty making choices," Remy said. "Ha ha ha ha, I spent a long time choosing before deciding on this gift for Harry. It's very practical and cute, right?" "Yeah, I think I need to buy an owl too. It's pretty practical." He walked over to Harry and teased the snowy owl, which Harry had named Hedwig, for a while. After paying Ollivander for the wand, Remy followed Hagrid out to buy his own owl. Remy doesn't have any requirements for the owl's appearance, only its body shape. With the dual recommendation of Hagrid and the store manager, Remy finally did not listen to their advice. Hagrid and the owl shop manager both recommended the eagle owl to Remy. The eagle owl is the largest owl on average, and the snowy owl is also a type of eagle owl. But Remy ultimately chose a fishing owl native to Asia. There is a huge range of sizes between different species of fishing owls. The one Remy bought is the hairy-legged fishing owl, which can grow to be larger than the largest eagle owl. Moreover, its main food is fish, and there happens to be a large lake next to Hogwarts Castle, so perhaps a lot of feeding troubles can be saved. With the owl in place, the three went to buy the mist essentials, including dragon skin gloves, and then the three left Diagon Alley together. As soon as they left Diagon Alley, Hagrid said with difficulty that he had other things to do and had to leave first, so he couldn't take them to the train station. Remy immediately said that there was no problem. Hagrid gave them 2 tickets before leaving. Looking at the platform 9 3/4 written on it, Harry was confused. "Remy, do you think it's possible that these 2 tickets were printed incorrectly? I've never heard of a 3/4 platform," Harry said. "Have you ever heard of magic before?" Remy asked. "Don't forget, we are going to a magic school, not some ordinary school." Harry suddenly realized what was going on and quickly followed Remy with the owl cage in hand. Each of them was carrying an owl cage, and they attracted a lot of attention along the way. Remy didn't care at all about this, but Harry couldn't stand those curious and surprised looks. Remy, can your trunk hold owls? I mean, won't they suffocate to death in it? Harry asked. Of course not. What's wrong? Are you tired? Remy asked. No, sort of. Okay, I'll help you put it on. Harry hesitated as Remy only packed Hedwig into the suitcase. Remy, I think you'd better pack your owl in your suitcase too, otherwise the subway might not let us on. Does the subway here have such a rule? Okay. Remy packed the hairy-legged fishing owl, which had been named Long John's, into the suitcase, and took Harry to the subway station to their destination, King's Cross Station. Episode 15, Platform 9 3/4. After wandering around but unable to reach the right platform, Remy and Harry ran around King's Cross Station like two headless flies, running east and west. Remy knew that platform 9 3/4 was a pillar, but the problem was that he didn't know which passage to take to get to the platform where the Hogwarts train stopped. King's Cross Station is a large train station, and they need to find the correct large platform first before they can look for the so-called platform 9 3/4. The way the passages here are set up it's hard to describe, just a mess. When he was almost getting lost after searching for a long time, Remy's eyes suddenly lit up when he caught a glimpse of the place. He saw a fat woman with red hair and made eye contact with her. The fat woman looked at Remy and then immediately looked away. She then called on the 4 children around her to follow her and get on the bus. Oh, it's almost time, we should go get on the bus. George, take our things and don't leave anything behind. Ronald, check your stuff. These buildings built by Muggles are so complicated. Every time I come here, I get dizzy. You should follow closely and don't run around. If you get lost, you won't be able to go to Hogwarts. Her voice was quite loud, as if she was shouting on purpose. Remy heard what she said, and so did Harry. Remy, they might be the same people as us. That lady mentioned Hogwarts, let's follow her. Harry said excitedly. Oh, okay. Remy came back to his senses and followed Harry's footsteps to catch up with the people in front, but he was wondering in his heart whether the Weasley family in front was arranged by Dumbledore. Otherwise it wouldn't make sense that I would just happen to meet them when they needed help. More importantly, as a pure-blood family in the wizarding world, the Weasleys had no need to come to King's Cross Station to take the train. They could go directly to the real station through other passages. They don't live in the Muggle world, so why would they go all the way to London and take the train through the Muggle train station? I smell a conspiracy. Remy had a meaningful smile on his face as he watched Harry approach Mrs. Weasley. Ma'am, are you going to Hogwarts? Harry asked. Oh, yes, I have to take my child to school. Are you going to Hogwarts as well? Are you lost? Harry smiled sheepishly. Yeah, Remy and I couldn't find platform 9 3/4. That's terrible. Hurry up and catch up. The train is about to leave. We have to hurry. Thank you so much. May I know your name? My name is Harry and his is Remy. You can just call me Mrs. Weasley. This is Ronald, he is also entering school this year. These two are George and Fred, they are twins, a few years older than you. You can ask them for help if you have any difficulties in school. This is my youngest daughter Ginny, she will not enter Hogwarts until next year. As they walked, Mrs. Weasley introduced her children to the two of them, and Harry and Remy politely nodded to each of them. From the way she walked, we could tell that Mrs. Weasley was a decisive and careful person. She walked very fast and from time to time she would urge George and Fred not to run around. Led by Mrs. Weasley, the group successfully arrived in front of a pillar that was nearly 2 meters wide. This is platform 9 3/4. Just walk through and you will see the train to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Mrs. Weasley said. Harry nodded vigorously, looking a little excited. He had sensed a familiar feeling. This feeling was that of a Muggle-repelling charm. Subconsciously, Harry turned around and looked at Remy. His eyes seemed to be asking Remy if he felt it. His actions gave Mrs. Weasley the wrong idea. "Don't be afraid, you won't get bumped into. George, you can demonstrate it to the younger students first," Mrs. Weasley said. "Mum, I'm not George, I'm Fred, he's George." "Oh, sorry, Fred, you show them." "Okay." Fred pushed the cart to 5 meters in front of the pillar, took a deep breath, and then pushed the cart quickly towards the pillar. Without a sound, he crashed into the pillar. Noticing Harry's surprised look, Mrs. Weasley smiled slightly. "George, it's your turn." "Mom, he just lied to you. I am Fred and he is George." Mrs. Weasley. The prank was successfully carried out, and George laughed and pushed the cart into the pillar. Next, Luo. "I'll go first, Mrs. Weasley," Remy said suddenly. "Oh well." With Mrs. Weasley's consent, Remy pulled the suitcase to the pillar and walked towards it quickly after taking a deep breath. The moment he touched the pillar, Remy saw a brand new platform. The old steam train was blowing its whistle as if to remind passengers to get on board as soon as possible. The platform was full of people, far more than the platform outside. Most of them were adults, standing by the train saying goodbye to the children who were leaning out of the windows. Cats of various colors walked around people's feet and meowed non-stop, as if begging for food. Some cats with a strong addiction to cats were rubbing against the pants of every passerby crazily, leaving their pants covered with fur. Some of them stared at the owls in the little wizard's hands or on the cart, with their eyes wide open, and it was unclear whether they were greedy or wanted to recognize them as their relatives. Just as Remy was looking around, there was a sudden bang and someone bumped into his back. Ouch! Remy turned around and was immediately delighted to see that it was Harry. "You're running too fast, Harry," Remy said. "No, you're standing in the wrong place. Let's leave quickly." Bang! Bang! There was a loud rustling sound, and Remy and Harry lay on their backs among a pile of luggage, with Ronald's sad face in front of them. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." "It's okay. We were standing in the wrong place. We shouldn't have been blocking the entrance." As he spoke, Remy stood up and straightened his suitcase, then helped Ronald put his luggage in place. Harry was fiddling with his glasses, which had sustained some damage from the collision. "I wish there were stores selling glasses in the wizarding world. I feel like my glasses might break down at any moment," Harry said with a headache. "In the wizarding world, this little damage is nothing." As he spoke, Remy pulled out a stack of cards from his inner jacket pocket and handed one to Harry. "Take it and play with it." Episode 16, Mr. Potter pays for the entire meal. What kind of magic card is this? The repair spell can repair some broken things, but not humans. Oh, I see. It can only be used to repair items. Harry looked at the magic card curiously. He really wanted to use this magical thing right now, but considering the mess around him, he held back. The front carriage was already full, and even the aisle was filled with people, so Harry and Remy had no choice but to get off the train and continue along the platform to the carriage behind. They walked to the back of the train and saw that there was no one near the window. They breathed a sigh of relief and carried their luggage into the carriage. There was indeed no one in this carriage, not a single person. "It seems that we are lucky, at least we can get on the train," Remy said. Harry didn't say anything. He sat down eagerly, then took off his glasses and held the magic card to his glasses. "We just have to pump magic into it, right?" Harry asked. "Yes, but this may be a little difficult for you since it's your first day in contact with magic. You may need to try a few more times." As Remy spoke, he put away his suitcase, then sat opposite Harry and watched him fiddle with the magic cards. Just like Remy said, it was difficult for Harry, who was in contact with magic for the first day and didn't know any spells, to actively release his magic. Maybe it was because he was nervous because of Remy's stare or because he was trying too hard, but Harry's face turned red and veins could be vaguely seen on the hand holding the magic card. Relax, Harry. Releasing magic is not like giving birth to a child. You don't need to use so much force, said Remy. Harry. Your analogy is both wonderful and confusing. How can I possibly know what giving birth is like? Nodding, Harry took a deep breath to relax before continuing his attempt. After a while, accompanied by a continuous whistle sound, the old steam locomotive shook violently, and then it started to run with a clanging sound. Hi, guys. A little red-haired boy waved awkwardly. He was swaying from side to side with the car body with his luggage. It was Ronald, whom I had just met. The other carriages are full, can I come in? Ronald continued to ask. Harry glanced at Remy, then picked up his glasses that were on the seat. Of course, come and sit down. Do you need help? No thanks, I can do it myself. After struggling to pull the heavy suitcase into the compartment, Ronald wiped the sweat off his forehead, hesitated for a moment, and sat next to Harry. Compared to Remy, who was daydreaming outside the window and not saying a word, Harry was obviously easier to get along with. The first time they got together, self-introductions were inevitable. After the three of them introduced themselves, Ronald immediately turned into Harry's little fanboy. In the wizarding world, Harry is a top star. He has fans from everyone from the youngest to the oldest to walk, and he is popular with both men and women. Ronald and Harry had a heated discussion, introducing their pasts and complaining about their troubles. They hit it off right away and seemed to have become good friends. To exaggerate a bit, they are just short of sworn brotherhood. After a while, a standard train attendant came from the rear of the train pushing a small cart full of snacks. Harry immediately and generously said that he would pay for all the consumption today and let the two of them choose whatever snacks they wanted. Ronald took out a sandwich and declined Harry's treat a little stiffly, while Remy waved his hand. Leave the car here, otherwise we have no place to put our things, said Remy. Ronald suddenly stared at Remy with eyes wide open in disbelief, then quickly looked at Harry, only to find that Harry shook his head helplessly. I knew you would buy things like this. As he spoke, Harry took out a handful of gold coins from his pocket, which immediately made Ronald's eyes pop out. I don't know if this money is enough. If it's not, you can ask him for the rest. Harry pointed at Remy and said. The flight attendant smiled slightly, took only 6 gold galleons, and then gave Harry a handful of change. This surprised Harry, and at the same time, he had a more intuitive understanding of the purchasing power of gold galleons. Remy, Ronald, what do you want to eat? Harry asked as he pushed the cart to the middle of the seats. This little cart can be used as a table for them, and it has 3 layers. Give me a cake, I'm hungry. Remy said. Harry nodded, and after looking at Ronald, who seemed even more reserved but couldn't help but keep looking at the cart, Harry took out a large piece of cake, cut it in half, and gave 1 piece to each of them. No, thanks. I'll just eat the sandwich. Ronald said in a panic, swallowing his saliva. Hey, there's so much food here, the 2 of us can't finish it all, just do us a favor. As he said that, Harry stuffed the cake into Ronald's hands. Remy took the cake and started to clean up the things on the top layer of the cart, moving them to the 2 layers below, and throwing some to Harry and Ronald. After clearing an area, Remy motioned for Harry to put down the remaining cakes, then stood up, opened his suitcase and took out a set of tea sets. Great, I was just thinking we'd be very thirsty if we ate like this, said Harry. Have a cup of tea, then. After pouring 3 cups of tea, Remy took out a small box filled with magic crystals. He took out a piece and put it in his cup. The tempting aroma immediately perked up the three people in the compartment. "What is this? It smells so good," Ronald asked. "Medicine," Remy said, mana-restoring medicine, which can make people more energetic. "Do you want to try it?" "Medicine?" Harry and Ronald looked at each other in surprise, and then a hint of sympathy appeared in their eyes. "No, keep it for a rainy day," Harry said. "Well, let's just have tea," Ronald said. Remy felt a little confused, but nodded and put the box away. Drinking tea, eating cakes and snacks, it's afternoon tea time now, how comfortable it is. While enjoying the beautiful view outside the window, Remy listened to Ronald introducing Harry to various snacks and listened to their casual chat to relieve boredom. After a while, noticing that there was no sound, Remy withdrew his gaze and looked at the two of them. Ronald was eating, while Harry was staring at a small card. "What are you looking at so fascinated?" As he spoke, Remy took the small card from Harry's hand. "Phew. Druid Cleona, you're into that, Harry," Remy said jokingly. No. Harry's face flushed instantly. "I just. Covering up is the truth." After returning the card to Harry, Remy bent down and took out a box from the suitcase, then took out a dozen cards from it and handed them to Harry. Looking at the portraits on the cards, Harry's eyes suddenly widened. Episode 17 Hermione comes in search of song. "Wow, this is a great picture. This one is great too. I always thought I was only 2 away from completing the collection, but I didn't expect there were so many. Are these new releases?" Ronald asked with shining eyes. "No, these have been released a long time ago, but they are collector's editions exclusive to the French wizarding community and are not sold to underage wizards," Remy explained. "So that's how it is, no wonder I've never heard of it before, it's awesome," said Ronald. He held a card in his hand, staring at it intently without blinking. "If you like it, I'll give it to you. I have several sets of this thing," Remy said. "Really? Thank you so much. Isn't this not good?" Harry lowered his head in embarrassment, but his eyes were uncontrollably directed at the sexy female wizard who was 1/8 Vila and was winking at him. With a slight smile, Remy handed the box to Harry, then took out another box and handed it to Ronald. Ronald cheered and took it quickly, then couldn't wait to open it and check it out. The more he looked at it, the hotter his eyes became. For a moment, the compartment was completely silent, no one was talking anymore, only the occasional sounds of pouring and drinking tea could be heard. You can tell from the gulp sound that the person drinking the tea is very thirsty. Leaning against the window and looking outside, I saw large tracts of farmland far away from the train, and a dark green hill opened its arms to welcome the train. This suddenly reminded Remy of a song. Thump thump thump. Remy stretched out a finger and gently beat a rhythm for himself on the cart and hummed softly. "If you missed the train I'm on, you will know that I am gone. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. 100 miles, 100 miles. 100 miles, 100 miles. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. Lord, I'm 1, Lord, I'm 2. Lord, I'm 3, Lord, I'm 4. Lord, I'm 500 miles away from home." Halfway through a song, Remy suddenly stopped and turned to look at the door. At the door of the cubicle, a little girl with brown hair was standing there blankly, holding the door edge with one hand. Remy's eyes lit up as he recognized her as Hermione. The front teeth that were exposed when her arms were slightly open were the best evidence. Noticing Remy's gaze, Hermione blushed at first, then after a slight hesitation she took a deep breath and opened the door. "Excuse me, have you seen a toad? A man named Neville lost a toad," Hermione said. "No, we haven't left here since we got on the bus," Remy said as he flipped over a new cup and poured a cup of tea. He held the cup out to Hermione. Would you like a cup of tea? I can hear that your voice is a little dry. You must have been looking for toads for quite some time, right? Remy said with a smile. Hermione looked embarrassed, hesitated for a moment, walked in, took the teacup and whispered thank you. Was the song you just sang a song from the Wizarding World? It was very nice. Hermione said. No, it's an old song that's very popular in Magnesium. It's called 500 Miles, Remy explained. Hermione was stunned for a moment. So you are also from the Muggle world? Yeah, don't I look like one? No. What's the difference? Not at all. Okay, let me introduce myself. My name is Remy Barrett, and I'm a real Muggle from the world. Looking at Remy's outstretched hand, Hermione frowned slightly in confusion, then reached out and shook it. My name is Hermione Granger. I still feel like you grew up in the Wizarding world. Hermione said, I bought a lot of books in Diagon Alley after receiving the acceptance letter. You give me the same feeling as the pure blood families in the Wizarding world described in the books. Oh. Really? It's not because I'm drinking tea, is it? Remy asked with a smile, and then reached out to touch his face. Or does my handsome appearance just happen to fit your fantasy of a noble young master in the Wizarding world? Hermione blushed and quickly lowered her head to drink her tea. After drinking half a cup in one breath, Hermione raised her head again. By the way, have you two seen Neville's toad? As soon as she asked, Hermione was suddenly stunned. She noticed the special mark on Harry's forehead. You are not Harry Potter? Hermione asked. Ah, yes, my name is indeed Harry Potter. Harry said as he subconsciously lifted his veil to show the lightning mark to Hermione. I heard everyone talking about you on my way here. You must have grown up in the Wizarding world, right? I wonder what magic you know. Can you show it to me? Hermione asked. Harry was suddenly embarrassed and stammered, not knowing what to say. Although Harry is a well-known figure in the Wizarding world, he grew up in his aunt's house, which means that he actually comes from the Muggle world. Remy explained for Harry. Hermione's face was blank. She looked at Harry, then at Remy, and then at Ronald in confusion. Well, it seems that I am the only one here who grew up in the magical world. Ronald said helplessly after swallowing the food in his mouth. Oh. Then you must know a lot of magic? I do know a little bit. That's great. Show us. Ronald looked a little embarrassed when he heard Hermione's words. He hesitated and put his hand into his pocket as if he had grabbed something, but he didn't take it out for a long time. Hermione, underage wizards are not allowed to cast spells outside of school. This is the regulation of the Ministry of Magic. If they violate it, they will be arrested and locked up by the Ministry of Magic. Remy helped Ronald out. Is this true? Hermione's eyes widened in fear, but when I was at home. Because you hadn't enrolled at that time, and it was impossible for you to use powerful magic when you first came into contact with magic, so the supervision was not very strict. Now we are on our way to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. You don't want to see Ronald being expelled before he even enrolls, do you? Remy explained. Oh. Hermione suddenly realized what was going on, and then gave Ronald an apologetic smile. I'm sorry, I didn't know there was such a rule, I wasn't right. Hermione's head snapped up and she looked at Remy. Didn't you just say that you were from the Muggle world? I've read all the books you were asked to buy in the admission letter, and it doesn't mention that there is such a rule in the Wizarding world. You were lying to me just now. Hermione stared at Remy and said. That. Harry raised his finger weakly and pointed at Remy. Remy not only bought the magic books mentioned in the admission letter, he also bought a lot of magic books that were not mentioned in the letter. Hermione was stunned at first, then there was an indescribable emotion in her eyes when she looked at Remy. At the same time, a strong aura emerged from her and pressed towards Remy. Remy's face changed. He was so familiar with this momentum. It is the legendary. Episode 18, The Top Student and the Top Student. Legend has it that there is a kind of creature called Shuaba, who can easily suppress another kind of creature called Shueja. Among the top students, there are different levels. Those at the top of the food chain are called the top students. The top student at the King of Curls level possesses a legendary ability, the Overlord Curl Aura. Even ordinary top students would tremble in fear when facing the domineering aura and dare not look at it. Poor students would be suffocated or even fainted when they are suppressed by it. Facing the overwhelming aura that was blowing towards him, Remy struggled to hold on, tremblingly picked up the teacup and drank a sip of tea to calm himself down. However, the next moment, the owner of the domineering aura suddenly sat down next to him, scaring Remy so much that he almost dropped the teacup. I didn't expect you like reading too. It just so happens that I have some questions I don't understand and would like to ask you. Hermione said. Here it comes, here it comes. That's it. There is provocation in the calmness, and mockery and disdain in the provocation. This is the legendary domineering chi scroll that can only be used by the top masters who possess the domineering chi scroll. Remy forced a smile, haha. Actually, I bought the books just to pretend I never read. Hermione's pupils shrank suddenly, and a trace of solemnity appeared in her eyes. He could actually use the legendary power of pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger that only the top students in the control grade could possess. She had only heard some rumors about masters of this level, but she didn't expect to see a living one today. Such an opportunity must not be missed. As long as I can defeat him, my Overlord Color Scroll Chi will definitely reach a higher level. Oh, just a simple exchange. How many nuts are equal to 3 galleons? Hermione smiled and suddenly launched a sneak attack, triggering the first move, increasing the attack power by 20%. Boom. Ronald, who was sitting opposite, had never studied mathematics, so he foamed at the mouth and fainted instantly under the suppression of the domineering aura. Harry's mind was working rapidly, and he used addition to defend himself and managed to hold on. Sweat was pouring down his forehead. Remy uses multiplication to defend and uses mental arithmetic. 1 gold galleon is equal to 17 silver sickles, which is equal to 493 nuts, so 3 galleons is equal to 1479 nuts. Remy said. Hermione nodded, her eyes becoming more serious. Not only does he know math, but he can even do multiplication. This person is really not simple. What's the difference between aconitum naviculatum and aconitum camijasum? Hermione continued to ask. They are just different names. They are all aconitum. What kind of potion is needed to make the water of life and death? You can make the water of life and death by adding powdered narcissus root to the infusion of wormwood. What color are newborn unicorns? Gold. Unicorns are golden when they are born, and silver when they grow up. What magical creature looks like a house cat? A catkin, also called a lion-tailed cat. Well, there is actually another magical creature called Zowu that looks very similar to a cat, except that it is larger than a lion or tiger. I have always wanted to raise one, but unfortunately I have no way to get one. Hermione immediately covered her chest and looked at Remy in disbelief. Facing her attack, Remy not only blocked it perfectly, but also threw out something that she didn't understand or had never even heard of. This blocking and counterattack caused her to suffer considerable injuries. Hurry to adjust her state, Hermione continued to attack Remy and used a quick attack tactic. However, facing Hermione's questions one after another, Remy handled them all with ease. Although he had never studied magic, he had learned a lot of knowledge and trivia. In addition, what Hermione knew now was all from the first-year textbook, so those questions were not difficult for Remy at all. As more and more questions were asked, Hermione's health was reduced by Remy's defensive counterattacks, and cold sweat broke out on her forehead. Her lips became paler and paler, and her body even began to tremble slightly. Finally, when she had asked all the questions she could think of and could not think of what to ask next, she rolled her eyes and fell down in her seat. Her head fell right on Remy's legs, which scared Remy. Wow, I didn't expect that I am now a super academic master. I even defeated Hermione, a top student. Wait, is there something wrong with my focus? Suddenly realizing what was happening, Remy first looked across at the opposite side. Ronald and Harry on the opposite side had already fainted. At this moment, they were lying on their backs with foam coming out of their mouths. Their arms would twitch from time to time, as if they were having a nightmare. Hermione was lying on her side in the seat, her long, slightly curly brown hair covering her face, her two hands clenched into fists, as if she was still unwilling to give up. The little girl is really cute. Ahem, no, I'm a gentleman. Stroking Hermione's hair, Remy took out a piece of paper from the cart and wiped the sweat from her forehead, then poured her a cup of tea and drank it leisurely. Today's tea is particularly sweet and delicious. The train continued to move forward along the designated track, crossing endless plains, through mountainous canyons, and through several dark and deep tunnels in between. Before Remy knew it, his eyelids were fighting each other, but they finally put aside their grudges and hugged each other tightly. It was not until Remy was awakened by a violent shaking that he looked outside and found that it was already dark. What's wrong? What happened? Why did I fall asleep? Have we arrived yet? Huh? Remy, why is you too? Ronald pointed at Remy and then at Hermione, who was still lying on Remy's legs and was about to say something when suddenly, a voice came from the radio. This train will arrive at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry in 5 minutes. Please put on your school uniform and prepare to get off the train. Please put your luggage on the train and a house elf will help you get to school. The announcement was repeated 3 times in a row. Ronald ignored the gossip and hurried to look through his luggage for his school uniform. Remy, my school uniform, is it convenient for you to open the suitcase now? Harry asked. Remy looked down at Hermione, whose body stiffened for a moment, and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. I think so, just wait a minute. As he spoke, Remy gently lifted Hermione's head and took a box of candies from the trolley for her to continue using as a pillow, then he stood up to get the suitcase. It looks like it's quite cold outside. I suggest you put your school robe over your coat, said Remy. Harry glanced at the condensation on the window and nodded vigorously. Remy, don't we need to wake her up? Ronald asked after changing into his school uniform. Wake her up? The witch cannot be disturbed. No need, didn't you notice that she was wearing a school uniform? Remy said. But she's about to get off the bus. If she misses it. Ahem. Harry tugged at Ronald's sleeve and said, Okay, let's go out first. I don't want to be the last one to get off the bus. It would be bad if I fell behind. Episode 19 I'm a muggle. A wizard. Oh, yes, let's go. Remy, hurry up. Got it. I'll leave a note for the house elves to bring these snacks along for us. After writing a note and placing it on the cart, Remy looked at Hermione and thought for a moment, then he took out a coat from the suitcase and put it on Hermione. Everyone should be crowded in the aisle waiting to get off the train. It's quite cold outside. I'm afraid it's too late for you to return to your compartment now. This shirt is for you. After saying that, Remy straightened his wizard robe and walked out of the cubicle. Hermione breathed a sigh of relief when she heard the compartment door close. After waiting for a while, until the train came to a complete stop and the announcement was made again urging people on the train to get off, Hermione finally opened her eyes. Looking at the clothes on her body, Hermione blushed slightly and fell into hesitation. There was a cloud of white mist outside the train, most of which came from the woods next to the station, and a small part was exhaled by the students. It is very obvious under the dim street light. The station was small and shabby, with many students crowded together. Some were walking along with the crowd, while others were standing there stupidly. Fortunately, at this moment, a loud voice pointed them in the direction. First-year students, gather here." Along with this loud voice, a huge lantern like a searchlight drew circles in the air, and it could be vaguely seen that a huge person was shaking it. "It's Hagrid." "Harry, where are you? Come over here so I can see you," Hagrid exclaimed, before continuing to call for the first years to come over to him. Remy saw Harry and Ronald trying hard to squeeze forward, but he hesitated for a moment and did not follow. He doesn't really like crowds, at least not the kind of crowds that are crowded with people, especially when he is the one being squeezed. He prefers to watch people crowding together, and the more crowded it is, the better he likes to watch it. Following the crowd out of the station into a bumpy path, a cool breeze blew, and Remy tightened his wizard robe. It was indeed a bit chilly, a far cry from London at noon. The path was full of exposed stones, which had been rolled over by countless people with their shoes. Each stone was rounder than the other, and now became even more slippery after being wetted by water vapor. Unfortunately, this path is a steep downhill road, and people fall from time to time. Sometimes even a large group of people fall. Remy watched from behind with a gloating look on his face, and kept sighing in his heart at his own wisdom. If he walks in a crowd, even if he doesn't slip, he may be pulled down by classmates who do. And now, he was walking alone behind the main group. It was impossible. "I'll go." Remy, who was almost dragged down, quickly steadied himself and hugged the person who was dragging him. When he saw who it was, Remy was immediately happy. Are all girls nowadays so proactive? I am really ashamed. Okay, I have received your kindness, and I will seriously consider making you my 999th girlfriend. Remy joked. After hearing what Remy said, Hermione was so embarrassed that she couldn't say a word. She lowered her head and wished she could find a hole to crawl into. "Walk slowly, don't worry, you won't be late." Straightening Hermione, Remy continued walking forward. After taking 2 steps, Remy suddenly stopped and turned to look at Hermione, who was standing there in a daze. "But if you stop here, you will be late." Oh. Suddenly waking up, Hermione lowered her head and walked forward silently. When Hermione caught up, Remy continued to walk forward at the same speed as Hermione. It was awkward to just walk forward with your head down, so Remy thought about it and decided to break the awkward atmosphere himself. It is impossible to expect a socially disabled person to take the initiative to break the awkwardness, never in this life. I can sense that the arrogance you displayed when you first appeared on the train actually stems from your inferiority complex, because you care a lot about your background. You are actually worried that you are not as good as your peers who grew up in the wizarding world. Remy said. Who said that? I didn't. I just. In fact, you don't need to worry at all. Your peers who grew up in the wizarding world only know more about some common sense of the wizarding world than you. The vast majority of wizarding families will not teach their children real magic before they enter school. In other words, children from Muggle-born and wizarding families are actually on the same starting line during school. Real? Of course it's true. You are lying to me. Don't tell me you saw this in a magic book. I don't believe there is such a thing in a magic book. I did grow up in the Muggle world, but 2 years ago I followed a teacher to live in the wizarding world. Actually, the place where he lived wasn't really the wizarding world, but I did learn a lot about it. Remy explained. You will be able to learn most of this common sense after staying in Hogwarts for 10 days or half a month. Hermione suddenly realized what was happening, and then felt even more ashamed. It turned out that I had misunderstood. Not only did I misunderstand, but I also questioned him one after another, and when Hermione thought about what happened on the train, her head was in a mess until she was suddenly pulled back to her senses. You don't want to swim over there, do you? Remy said, pointing to the castle in the distance. Hermione turned her head in confusion, and then found herself only one step away from the lake. Hurry up and get on board, or we'll really be left behind. Oh, okay. Hermione didn't dare to raise her head as Remy pulled her onto the boat by her sleeve. It was not until the unmanned boat slowly started to move and a cool breeze blew that Hermione shuddered and subconsciously tightened her wizard robe. Thank you for the clothes. I guess it was you who gave me the clothes. Hermione whispered. There was no response. After a while, Hermione quietly raised her head and looked at Remy, and found that Remy was staring at the castle on the other side of the lake in a daze. The huge castle towering into the clouds stands on the cliff, bathed in the bright moonlight, making people want to explore it. The moonlight shines on the mirror-like surface of the lake, with only ripples appearing where boats pass by. The moonlight shone on Remy's body, illuminating his short black hair and making his violet eyes look even more mysterious. For a moment, the two people on the boat were in a daze. It wasn't until the boat reached the edge of the cliff and the castle was no longer in sight that Remy came to his senses. Hermione also came to her senses soon after and quickly turned her head away. It's amazing. This ship can sail on its own without any human control. Bow your head. Remy placed his hand on the top of Hermione's head and pressed it gently, and at the same time he lowered his head. At this moment, the two faces were so close that they could clearly feel each other's breathing. Episode 20 School is my home. After passing through a curtain of ivy and a dark, winding tunnel, the boat finally arrived at a place that looked like a dock. An underground dock located in a tunnel with only one passage leading to nowhere. Seeing the boat approaching, Hagrid, who was standing on the shore, breathed a sigh of relief. Oh, Merlin's beard, I thought someone fell into the water. Come with me. What would you do if someone really fell into the water? Remy asked curiously. Well, then I'm afraid I can only notify the professor to rescue you, and then get scolded. Hagrid shrugged. After getting off the boat, Hagrid checked the boat again to make sure nothing was left behind, and then took the two of them to meet up with the main force ahead. The road from the train station to the Black Lake is a wet, slippery, and steep downhill road. Now on the way to the castle, the road conditions are not much better. It has just become a wet, slippery, and steep uphill road. There is even a river in the tunnel underneath, so the water vapor has nowhere to go and can only float upwards along the upward channel. The entire tunnel was filled with fog, and everyone was wet and sticky as they walked along. This is not the end yet. After finally climbing out of the tunnel, we had to cross a large muddy, overgrown meadow. The weeds were generally 20 centimeters high, and the leaves were covered with dew. As they walked, the blades of grass occasionally brushed against the ankles of the little wizards. The dew not only wet their trouser legs but also flowed into their shoes, making them slip with every step, accompanied by a popping sound. After many hardships, they finally arrived at the castle gate under the leadership of Hagrid. We're here. Is everyone here? Hagrid asked loudly. No one answered. Of course it was impossible for anyone to answer. After all, it is impossible for someone who hasn't arrived yet to appear here and tell Hagrid, wait for me, I'm not there yet. After waiting for a while, until Hagrid checked the number of people and made sure that everyone was there, he raised his huge fist like a battering ram and knocked on the door 3 times. Not sure if it was an illusion, but Remy vaguely saw dust rustling down on the door. Poor gate, I wonder how many more years it can last. But at least there was no problem at this moment. With a creaking sound, the 2 doors opened at the same time, and then a serious-looking female wizard walked out of the castle. She was tall and thin, wearing an emerald green wizard robe and a pointed wizard hat on her black hair. She looked like a teacher, at least at the level of a dean of studies. In the entire Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, only Professor McGonagall fits this image. Thank you for your hard work, Hagrid. "Leave the rest to me," said Professor McGonagall. Hagrid bowed and stepped aside, then without looking back, he disappeared into the night carrying his huge lantern that looked like it had been taken off a train. Professor McGonagall glanced at everyone and nodded slightly. Then he waved his hand and the two doors opened completely and automatically without any wind. "Come with me," said Professor McGonagall. Following Professor McGonagall into the castle, we were greeted by a hall. The surrounding walls were built by Dwayne Johnson, and there was a burning torch every 1 meter or so to provide lighting and bring a touch of warmth to the little wizards. The ground was paved with marble and was very slippery, especially at this moment when the soles and socks of the little wizards were wet, which forced them to walk very carefully. For a moment, many people's walking postures became very strange. With so much marble, the radiation level must be considerable. Could the wizard be a mutant who has been exposed to excessive radiation? Lost in thought, Remy followed the crowd through the hall to the staircase opposite, which was also made of marble. After going up the stairs, they passed through another corridor. After passing a door that sounded messy, Professor McGonagall led them to an empty room at the corner at the end of the corridor. "Welcome to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry," Professor McGonagall said. "The welcome party is about to begin, but before you arrive at the auditorium and take your seats, you must first determine which college you will each enter. During your study at school, the college is your home at Hogwarts. You will attend classes, rest and spend spare time with other students in the college, so the sorting is very important." Professor McGonagall's words immediately brought back Remy's memories. He remembered that when he was in school, the principal and the class teacher often told students that the school is their home, the class is their home, and they should take care of the class as their own home, and so on, especially when it was time for a general cleaning. However, once they go to sleep or eat snacks, they will immediately turn hostile and yell at you. Do you think school is your home? It's extremely double standard, and it's obvious. While Remy was lost in thought, Professor McGonagall continued to speak. There are 4 houses at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. They are Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin. During your studies at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, your outstanding performance will win extra points for your house, and any violations will cause your house to lose points. At the end of each academic year, the house with the highest score can win the House Cup, which is a great honor. No matter which house you are assigned to, I hope you can bring honor to your house, instead of deducting all the points from that house. The sorting ceremony will be held in front of all the teachers and students in the school. It will begin in a few minutes, so I suggest that you tidy up your clothes and adjust your state now. That way you will look more energetic. After the previous difficult journey, are we in high spirits? Remy rolled his eyes. I'll come get you when it's ready over there. Now, just be quiet. Perhaps noticing Remy's eye roll, Professor McGonagall deliberately glanced at Remy before leaving. As soon as Professor McGonagall left, everyone hurriedly prepared their own funeral forms and prepared to go to the execution ground in September. After all, it is autumn now, and the executioner also needs the joy of harvest, right? Just as Remy was fixing his hair, there was a commotion behind the crowd, and then little Mago came over under the protection of 2 younger brothers who looked a bit burly compared to the other little wizards. "Hello again, Remy," Draco said, extending his hand. "Oh, hello, what's the matter?" After shaking hands, Remy asked with some confusion. "Why did this kid come to me instead of Harry?" Draco didn't say anything, but instead glanced at Hermione, who was half hidden behind Remy and carefully fixing her hair. A hint of hostility appeared in his eyes. Remy's heart skipped a beat when he noticed the change in Draco's eyes. This boy, could it be that he is attracted by my beauty?